Good morning, beautiful wives. Welcome back to another Dare from the Respect Dare 40 Days to a Deeper Connection with God and your husband. All right, so today we are on Dare 28 and it's called Spice of Married Life. So, first of all, I wanted to say that this isn't for abusive marriages. This isn't for women who are married to abusive men or even that are abusive themselves, right? This is for healthy marriages, that are wanting to grow and become better and have deeper connection. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that because it can be taken very out of context, within abusive relationships. So anyways, the verse here is First Corinthians 7 4 and 5. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but his wife does. Do not deprive one another, except with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer and come together again, so that Satan does not tempt you because of your lack of self control. So, the way that I understand this is not that, is not that we have to be available for one another on demand, you know, but the way that I understand this is that, first of all, we both have needs and we both should want to come together, right? Sexually. And also, what I understand from this is that, you know, the more we encounter couples and work with couples and wives, my husband and I couples, the more I realize how much brokenness there is in this area, So we have heard of a couple that the woman decided she wasn't going to have sex anymore, and I think it had been like, I don't know, 20 years, since she had decided that. God knows why she decided, but that was their life. So I think that that's what this verse is talking about. Like, don't do things like that, like don't deprive or use sex to manipulate or to punish, our spouses. And I believe it's more in that sense than actually being available on demand. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to clarify that. And then it talks about this woman that they had been married, I forgot, 20-25 years. And their sex life was less than what she would have liked, right, at the moment. And she recognized that her husband would probably want more as well. So she dresses up and she's all cute and she goes to bed and he doesn't notice, right? So next day, she noticed something important here that I picked up. She didn't get offended, and start disrespecting him. No, she asked God, she asked the Holy Spirit, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I missing here? Like, what else can I do? So the next day she comes back and she does the same thing, but instead of just laying there, she begins to talk to him, right, in a way that leads him to understand what she wanted, and that made all the difference, right? So I thought that that was a great posture of her heart, because instead of getting offended that he didn't notice her, and then going to disrespect him, is like, oh, you never noticed me and this and that, she just chose to go to God. She chose to go to the Holy Spirit and ask the Holy Spirit what's going on, And sure enough, that's a question the Holy Spirit would always answer, because God created sex within the context of marriage, And so she goes on to the questions. And what I would like to suggest is that you really have this conversation with your husband, How often do you and your spouse talk about your sex life? I have noticed, um, that there are a lot of couples that are uncomfortable talking about their sex life to each other, but it shouldn't be that way. We should have the freedom to be able to talk about with each other, right, with our spouse, and help each other understand in a very nice way, right? Not being rude, not being condescending, nothing like that, but really help each other understand um, what is it that it's missing for us, or what is it that we would like more of, or what is it that we're loving, right? What is it that we're so excited about, um, and so I really encourage you to answer those questions for yourself, and then have a conversation with your husband about it and ask him those same questions to initiate that conversation, and something that I wanted to share with you girls, is that sex, like I said, within the context of marriage, was created by God. It's holy. It's not a sin, right? On the contrary, like she says it on the beginning of the dare, like one of the reasons why God created it is for our enjoyment, right? And it's not just one partner or the other, but it's both, right? And so, with that being said, if we go to the Bible, the very first time that sex is mentioned is with Adam and Eve, with the very first humans that were in the planet, right? And it says that Adam knew Eve and she conceived. So we know that they had sex because obviously she conceived, right? So she got pregnant. You don't get pregnant from looking at each other, right? But the word that God chooses to use is the word yada. And that word is not the word for intercourse. That word is the word for intimacy. It's like it's an intimacy that is beyond anything else that we can experience. It's the intimacy that he desires with us. Yeah. And it's the intimacy that he created us to have with our spouses. And in that intimacy, we become one. We don't become one just for by the act in itself. Is the whole experience, right? It's supposed to be an experience. It's not supposed to be just an act, right? So that word is to be fully seen and fully known so that we may be fully loved. It's the deepest level of intimacy. When King David prays to God and he says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart," that's the same word that he's using, the knowing his heart. That is the word yada, because when we have that intimate relationship with God, so deep and so intimate that obviously he knows our heart to the fullness, and he shows it to us, and we are open to receive, and we are open to see, and we are open to just explore what he's showing us. That intimacy is the intimacy that he puts in the context of sex with our spouses. So what I'm trying to say is that the emotional, spiritual, and physical intimacy was created as one thing. One thing. It was never meant to be separated. It was never meant to be, oh, okay, so this is just now just physical, and we're having sex. It was never meant to be that. It has always been meant to be a spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical experience. It's something that we experience with our entire being, with the entirety of who we are. It's what God created sex to be. And that to me is just beautiful. Just beautiful, 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 because it is the most intimate two humans can be with each other in the level of truly, deeply knowing each other and becoming one. So anyways, I wanted to leave you with that. And if you had any negativity on your perspective of sex, I hope this changes it for you, because it is the most beautiful experience God has intended for husbands and wives to participate together. So I love you. I will see you tomorrow. And yeah, that was it for today. I love you. See you tomorrow.